Hello, hello, hello. What's up, everyone? Happy New Year. It's the first weekend of 2026. We have a new yearly candle on Bitcoin. But of course, before we dive into the charts, we will cover a couple of things before that. But I do hope that everyone spent amazing holidays. And as usual, I am pretty bad at starting the live streams. I can see you can see you in the live chat. If you could just calm down a bit, brother. But it is nice to see you. I hope that you had a great weekend. Seeing a bit of movement on Bitcoin. First time we've broken out of this annoying range in 3 weeks. So this week should be fairly fun. By the way, can anyone confirm that that the sound is good, of course, that we're live? Hello, Nicholas. Hello, Alec. So, yeah, I don't think I can read your name, Alec, on YouTube, but I'm pretty sure it's you. In any case, hi guys. I hope that everyone's doing well. And I think that the sound should be good. So we might dive straight into everything before covering the weekly setup. Sound is good. Okay, so let's dive into everything. As usual, we'll do the announcements very quickly, then we'll dive into the recap for this week, which wasn't much as you will see, and then of course we will cover this week's best setups. So for the announcements, if you guys want to trade with a 30% fee discount on Bitunix, you can do so with the link that is available down in the description of this stream. And of course, if you want access to our imbalance indicator, which of course helps me give you these pretty good support and resistance levels, then the link will also be available in the description. Now moving on to the recap of this week, I didn't do much because as you guys know, I was waiting for my support down there around 85.4. We did have a lot of flows that did end up getting front run, which was a bit obvious in hindsight, but this is hindsight. In any case, I was looking to clean up these lows around 86.5. I was pretty much, that was my question for the week. Will we take out these lows to chop into support before seeing the move towards $96,000? So then, of course, we just got to move straight up without taking out the lows. And for me, I was just sat on the sidelines, as mentioned multiple times. Where is it? So I was sitting flat, not in any position, not in any leverage position. And yeah, mainly waiting for the best setups, even though we did have a lot of volume on this breakout. For me, once again, there was no short to take because, well, it was the fourth SFP that we've had on this level at $90,200. But one thing to note, it is pretty crazy coming into today that the long that we took 3 weeks ago, or even more, that was a while ago. So that was about 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks. At $84,000, this long still didn't get taken out. Now, I did fully close it, if you remember, at $92,000. So that was a very good exit in the end. Okay, if I just recap this trade quickly. Where is it? So I fully closed my long around $92,000. And of course, after this exit, which was right there, we got a pretty big drop to the downside. But overall, once again, it is quite funny that we didn't take out the initial entry of my long position. In any case, the past is the past. What you want to do now is look for the next setups coming up this week. And of course, if anyone is interested, I will talk about the yearly outlook for Bitcoin going into 2026. Okay, so for the week, it is fairly simple in my opinion. If you guys remember, I had removed this resistance above at $92,000. So let's take it back. $92,400. We have a 4-hour imbalance. Guess what happened on this pump, by the way? This was an imbalance on Binance. On the 4-hour, we had this 4-hour imbalance at $89,300. Well, on Binance, it's at 300. It's at 400. Sorry. But on Bybit, the open of this candle, even though it's not an imbalance, was at $89,300. Very quickly, I did mention this level inside of the general chat when someone asked me about it. Where is it? Right there. $89,300. Okay, that was on Friday. Guess what happened? We got the fill of this 4-hour imbalance, 89.3, and price reversed to the upside. So above us is the exact same logic, an imbalance there, $92,400. And of course, we have a couple of things to note. The first one is that we have a daily imbalance below. Now, I will talk about this one in a bit, but we have a daily imbalance below. However, much more importantly, we have a wickless daily candle on the weekend. So right now, this Sunday candle is a wickless daily candle. And finally, of course, we have a CME gap below. That should be around $90,000 if I'm not mistaken. So 930, let's go back on Bybit. The CME should be right there. So the CME gap is literally just below $90,000, okay? So we have a wickless daily candle, a Sunday wickless daily candle, which is even more important. We have a CME gap below. And one more thing that someone did mention inside the general chat, we have a scam wick on Coinbase down to $88,700. And these scam wicks tend to get filled. Could show you examples in the past, but I don't think I'm going to remember them because they don't happen that often. But scam wicks tend to get filled, and we have this one on Coinbase down to $88,700. So for this week, what I'm going to look for is probably a Monday high around $92,400. Okay, that would be kind of the first part of my plan. Now, I do want to look at the new pivots that we have. New people in the chat. Hello, Renier. It's nice to see you. And, well, that's it. Will you consider that too? There's also a New Year CME. What do you mean a New Year CME? I don't know what you mean by that. So I do want to look at the new pivots because we have the yearly pivot, which is massively important, but we have the monthly pivot. Wait, what? Oh, this has been tapped. So that was above us when we opened the new months down there. The monthly pivot has been tapped, unfortunately. So I cannot look at this. And then the yearly pivot, which is very important. Ooh, wow. Okay, so we have it at $93,900, pretty much $94,000, which, as you guys know, I have been telling you, I heavily expect a break above these highs. And now we have this yearly pivot as confluence. So this is just more confidence to expect higher prices. Nothing major there. Let's go back to the weekly for myself. Think what I would look for this week. I can hide this for now to make the chart cleaner. Let's go back on the daily and take the daily imbalance that we have down there. The best scenario, in my opinion, would definitely be to pump into a Monday high. Okay, a Monday high. Then to drop back down, fill the CME gap, fill the scam wick on Coinbase, fill the daily imbalance, and then potentially see a reversal to the upside to finally take out these highs at $94,000. This would be my initial plan. So of course, in this case, tomorrow I will be looking for short around $92,400. And then of course, if we do get that rejection and that drop, but then we lose this level, then simply we can look for lower prices, with the second target being $85,400. Okay, so that's how I'm going to be playing it this week. Hopefully we continue to hold up there. We leave this daily candle as a wickless candle because that would be a nice confluence to expect a rejection. So we pump into resistance tomorrow. Now it could be during the Asian session that time. Okay, watch out. Usually I talk about a late Monday high. This time it could be an early Monday high. So I'm gonna set alerts up there before going to sleep. Okay, Monday high, hopefully drop into the support, daily imbalance, wick, scam wick on Coinbase, and then if we hold, of course, and we have a reaction, we can look for that reversal to the upside. Hello, mate. Great to see you. It's great to see you as well, Emperor. Do we have any questions? We don't yet. So I think fairly simple plan on Bitcoin, guys. That's hopefully what we're gonna get. Now, of course, if we break above that resistance, I think we can go straight for this resistance above at around $96,000, $97,000. And of course, if we break that, I think that the next level will be $99,500. And this is when, if you want, we can dive into the yearly outlook for Bitcoin. So if you guys want the yearly outlook, which is a much higher time frame outline, then of course let me know in the live chat and we'll just dive into this. But that should be it for Bitcoin. Was there anything? Yes, there was. I want to look at the volume profiles. So the point of control, we are at the value area high. So we have a point of control, a previous point of control up there. So that's nice confluence. But ideally a deviation above the value area high, hit this previous point of control and then come back down. But I don't know from here. Point of control is below from the final low. Okay, we don't have any point of control. Would have been nice to see, but to me honestly doesn't make too much of a difference. I'm not the biggest fan of volume profiles. Okay. Yeah, so that would be my big level for the week, my big support. If we lose it, I would expect lower prices. So I think that should be fairly simple, guys. I don't think there's anything else I want to talk about. Once again, I am heavily expecting Bitcoin to break back above these highs at $94,000. And right now we have a new confluence, which is the yearly pivot just above us, which will get tapped in my opinion. That should be it, guys, I think. Nothing else I wanted to look at, I think that would be it. So we can move on to Ethereum. Let's see what happened on Ethereum. I think I wanted to see, I wanted to see a move up. Ooh, okay, interesting. So for Ethereum, I wanted to see that move up into resistance. We have moved up into it with a 4-hour imbalance. And we actually have got a pretty good rejection. So this on Ethereum is actually playing out quite well until now. Of course, if we had a daily imbalance, that would have been massive. We have a 12-hour. We don't have a 12-hour. 4-hour. I mean, we just looked at it. What am I talking about? So for Ethereum, I will keep this plan, guys. Now I'm gonna keep this plan. Meaning that even though I am expecting a new high on Bitcoin, we could get something more similar like this maybe on Ethereum. That is interesting, definitely. Let's look at the pivots on this. The monthly pivot, did it get tapped? It did get tapped. And let's look at the yearly pivot. Okay, the yearly pivot got tapped as well, unfortunately, on Ethereum. Do we have new quarterly pivots, actually? I forgot about, yup, we have a new quarterly pivot above on Ethereum. Let's look at Bitcoin. I forgot about the quarterly. Ooh, so the quarterly pivot is at $95,500. So even more confidence to expect a break above these highs. Yeah, that is very nice. That is indeed very nice. Let me just fix that very quickly. The quarterly pivot, I completely forgot about this one. Down. I am OCD, guys, I'm sorry. Boom. And that would be your target. And that's what I'm gonna put for the weekly plan on Bitcoin. BTC weekly, I mean, we could call it the Sunday plan as usual. Sunday plan. I like it. Hi Habib, a bit late but catching up. Hello Jean-Pierre, I hope you're well. It's nice to see you as usual. So for Bitcoin, that's it. For Ethereum, I think we don't have anything else to cover because we wanted to see the move up into resistance. We got the move up into resistance. We have the 4-hour imbalance up there. So of course, if anyone cut this short, good job. Just be aware of the fact that we could, I mean, I am expecting another high on Bitcoin. So I don't know how this will affect Ethereum. Do we just drop and then retrace, or do we actually make another high? Just keep that in mind. Keep a track on it on Bitcoin in case you're trading Ethereum. Solana moving up into resistance. Told you guys, watch out for the move up on Solana, mainly because we had these 2 daily imbalances that did offer the low on Solana. Now we are moving up, ideally just like Bitcoin. Overall, I am expecting a move above 94 on Bitcoin. Solana, I am expecting a move up into 155 if I believe that was the level. Yes, around 155. So Solana remains unchanged. Ethereum remains unchanged. Is there any other main coin that I want to look at? Not really. Not really. So if you guys have any questions, of course, send them in the live chat because this is the main analysis. Solana, you guys, I mean, this is the plan. It's literally outlined right there. I don't think there's much for me to say. Getting the move up into resistance. I would like to see continuation. Now, on the lower time frames, of course, you could look for some support below. This one's gonna be hard. You guys want a lower time frame setup on Solana? Let's see if we can find one. We have a daily order block. I'm gonna take this. Let me hide this for a bit because it's annoying me. 12-hour nothing. The imbalances are up there on the 4-hour. What the frick was that wick? Well, that's a scam wick. That's an example of a scam wick getting recovered. Right there. The support is gonna, I think that would be your support, honestly. That would be a bit higher. I don't know if anyone is interested in the Solana local trade, so I might be wasting my time. Yeah, I'm not gonna waste too much time on this, but that would be an interesting area to monitor. Right there. No point of control. I mean, from there it's too far back. I don't like it. Where's the point of control? Okay. Valeria high, not the okay. That's a decent level if anyone is interested in trading Solana, but definitely the biggest trade would have been on the double daily imbalance that you had on this drop. I mean, at the lows, that would have been enough to probably open a low leverage trade on it. And of course, if you followed this indicator, well, that's a nice 15% move to the upside. So then we can move on maybe to gold and silver very quickly because I do have an update on silver. Is going up or down? Well, brother, I mean, the plan is right there. What do you mean, is it going up or down? This is literally the plan. Cannot be, like, I cannot be more clear than that. What's the target for Ethereum if it rejects here? It's also outlined on the chart. Right there. I still have the support below, which I mean got front on by a bit on Ethereum. So I think Ethereum actually would be a bit different now. Now that you talk about it. Now that you talk about it. Can talk about a first target on Ethereum, which would definitely be this 12-hour imbalance, so $3,000. That would be your first target. Okay, once again, $3,050. And then, oh, yeah, that would be an even better target. Still $3,000, $3,020. You have an order book, you have a partial fill on the 4-hour, and you have this wick. So just watch out for this area below. It's a pretty big one. Ideally you take out that liquidity before reversing, just because you have a partially filled 4-hour imbalance. But yeah, main target will be around just above $3,000 for Ethereum. I'm gonna keep that level on my chart because I actually like it. And then we can see if we reach it and get a rejection. So to the upside, of course. So is all of this part of the same plan? I can remove this. I think I can remove this. Boom, boom. And I'm gonna keep this. Let's put this as the initial plan. Initial plan. I'm gonna hide this. Thing on Ethereum right now, we could be looking at something similar as Bitcoin, meaning if Bitcoin finds support down there, then you would expect, of course, Ethereum to do something similar, meaning you jump into support and then you reverse to the upside. So something like this is definitely possible. Then, of course, if you lose that support area, I would definitely take an area. Let me mark it out for you. So this to this, that would be much better. Think you have the support, and then if you lose it, you could be looking back for a break below all of these lows. Okay, so all these lows right there below $2,900. So that would make more sense actually now that I think about it on Ethereum. A drop and then a reversal to the upside, the support being around $3,000. Then of course, if you lose this, we could potentially be looking back at the initial plan, which was a pump into this level for a bigger rejection and a break back below the first low that we put in on November, on the 21st of November. So yeah, that's good that you mentioned the target on Ethereum, because I didn't think about it. Can you check near? Yes, we can. Well, this entire Bitcoin pump seems weak. I wouldn't be surprised if it falls below $87,000 again. It's not a bad pump. Again, my medium time frame bias is that we will break above these highs. Okay, I'm very confident about that, especially now that we have the pivots above. We have the yearly pivot and the quarterly pivot, so I'm very confident that we will break these. It's just about how much do we drop, right? Was that the low and then we move up from here and break the highs, or do we get one more retracement to this level, or do we lose this support level and then drop below and then come back up? Of course, this is the big question, but that's why right now I'm taking it level to level. Tomorrow, if we can pump it to resistance, I will look for the short if we have a reaction. It's very important, guys. If we have a reaction, then when we get the reversal, same thing down there, I will wait for the reaction and to see if there's a long position. If there's no long, I will hold on to the short for a move lower in the charts and so on. So I don't think it's a bad pump. I definitely don't think it's a bad pump. It's just about, once again, was that the actual low and we'll pump, or would we drop lower? What about 2200, 2400 Ethereum? Is there even support there? Let me open the Ethereum chart. 2200. Nah. I think below this level, it will start looking pretty bad for Ethereum. So below 2,500, I think Ethereum will not be looking great. That's why I had this big support. I did talk about it before. Once again, it did get front on there by literally like freaking $10. What's that? Yeah, $10. So it did get front on by $10, but in this case, you would consider it tapped, just because a $10 front run, it's not that big of a front run. So this level is going to be a very big one for Ethereum. Below this, I don't see anything significant, I do have to admit. And that's one, of course, if we drop and lose it, we can come back to the chart and see if we have any new levels. Do I have a different bias, a different outlook? It's just gonna depend. But right now, I do have like what I'm basically saying is that below this, I don't have anything major. I would like to see BTC area outline. Okay, I'm gonna talk about this. Can you check near? Someone has been asking about near, so let's dive into it. This is not on my watch list, I think. Not like I trade altcoins anyway. Near USDT, so Binance definitely. Wow. Wow. Okay. So first thing to note, the guy asking about near can see where is literally the only daily imbalance that we have seen since November. It's right there at the low. You have a daily imbalance, this marked the low, and you saw the reversal to the upside from there. So before you talk about anything, that's all I'm gonna say. Imbalance at the lows, you can see it from your own eyes, and you got that reversal to the upside. But one thing that I can note is that we took out that liquidity, which was the crash on the 10th of October. This is very nice to see. You took out that liquidity, you had the daily imbalance, and then you got that reversal to the upside. Now, 12-hour. That is a bit of a resistance, even though we don't have an imbalance. Did we fill this one? That's a partial fill. Even though it's a very deep one, I don't like these partial fills. I don't like them. So that would be potentially a first support below on here. If you can jump to it, 1.6, that would be your support. Boom. Or potentially reversal to the upside. Let me see if I can find anything more significant. Volume profile, still everything is down there, man. We're not getting any confluences on the volume profile right now. Come on. Value area low, but and value area high. So it's not a bad level. I don't mind it, actually. I don't mind it. The pivots on this one are not gonna be very interesting. I think I'm just gonna look at the monthly pivot, but the other one's monthly pivot has been tapped. Let's look at the quarter, at the yearly, actually. Yeah, this one, it's not too interesting. It's not too interesting. So let me check one last thing just to see how healthy it is. Daily balance volume. So you had a bit of a divergence on this move up, which is not bad. I think that's probably the only thing that I would look for on here. Cannot find the best level. And actually, the more I look at it, look at this. High, 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 high. So that was a resistance area. And then that resistance area actually lines up pretty well with this partially filled imbalance. So that would be all this resistance turned into support. So yes, now that I look even more about it, that would make the most sense on here. You jump into this area, you want to see it hold as support for a potential reversal to the upside. If you lose this area, I would probably hold off on this coin. For the shorts, I don't see anything major. On this coin, I don't see any major shorts. Just because I don't have any imbalance to the upside that pops out to me. And see, once again, the only daily imbalance was down there. It offered the low. The 12-hour, we don't have any imbalance above. So ideally, if you drop and you get that bounce, your target would be the open of this candle after this imbalance at $2. So that's what I'm going to say for this coin. Resistance turned into support, a partially filled 4-hour imbalance. You have nice liquidity above it. Think that looks nice. I saw that blue candle around 2,400. Wouldn't that consider a target for the imbalance? 2,400. So we're talking about Ethereum. Which one? Around. So I'm guessing you're talking about the daily chart. 2,400. So you're talking about this one. I mean, when you talk about imbalances, you always have to use context and confluence. You can see that this target, I am using a daily imbalance as a confluence. Now, this one wouldn't be too big of a problem, but my main concern with that one is that at this point, if you drop into this imbalance, you're just getting too close back around that liquidity. And did we get such a big drop to just put in a double bottom on that liquidity to then see a full reversal to the upside? That's my main concern on why I didn't include this daily imbalance in my support. It just doesn't look likely that we could fill it, okay? It's not a problem. Let's say on the daily we wick through through this area, we fill it, and then we close the daily back up. That would be a decent reaction, but again, I'm just explaining why I didn't include this daily imbalance into my support area. It's just because it's a bit too close to that liquidity that we have below. So I'm not too comfortable. I wouldn't be too comfortable opening a long on Ethereum down there. Now I trade Bitcoin. I don't trade Ethereum. I think anyway down there could be a nice area to start buying spot on Ethereum. If anyone wants to invest in this asset, I don't think that would be a bad first area to buy. And if you did, as you saw, if you bought, let's say, on the daily imbalance spot, you would have seen a pretty good return if you bought on the daily close of 25%. And even on an investment, 25% is pretty big. So that's how I would look at it from a spot perspective, from a leverage perspective, I mean, I just outlined my view on why I'm not the biggest fan of this daily imbalance down there. So the yearly outline for Bitcoin. Okay, before we dive into the yearly outlook for Bitcoin, I will quickly cover gold and silver, and then we will end it on Bitcoin, except if anyone has any more questions. Let me just take some water. Okay, so main thing that I want to cover is going to be silver, because this correction goes back to that Elliott wave count that we had before. Is it possible that this is the wave 3, meaning the cycle will end into this target like this? This is that's mainly what I wanted to outline on silver. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and around this area should be the end of your cycle on silver. If anyone wants to be proactive, again, this is not financial advice, you do whatever you want, but I wouldn't sell everything, of course, but I would sell a pretty big portion of silver. Why is that? Well, if you look at silver and gold, the last all-time high that we put in on silver was literally in 2000 and no, what the frick, man. Yeah, that was stupid. The last all-time high that we put in was right there in 2011. So it took 14 years to come back above the previous all-time high. So that's why selling a big portion of your silver, not financial advice, that's personally what I'm looking to do. I'm gonna sell a lot of silver up. I mean, if we can get correction wave 5, I mean, it just makes sense to sell a lot, because if we go into a bear market, let's say that it's twice as short as the first one, not the first one, but the last one, that was 14 years, meaning that the next one will be at least 7 years. So it just makes a bit of sense, in my opinion, to sell silver, let it drop for a couple of years, literally a couple of years, and then you start buying back, let's say around $40. If it drops back to this level, you buy back silver for the next run to the upside. That would be the same thing on gold. Gold just takes a lot of time to come back up. So if you're heavily invested in gold, just keep in mind that the last bear market, I mean the last all-time high, which was this one, was put in 2011, but this one was broken a bit earlier in 2020. So it took 9 years to come back above the previous all-time high. So if gold follows silver, this means that we would have a wave 4, a wave 5, lining up with this count, 5, 3, and then you'll have your bear market, which will last a couple of years. You will retrace and then come back up. Okay, that's mainly what I want to talk about. Nothing major, just a bit of an outlook in case silver does continue its correction to the downside, which is definitely possible. Okay, so now moving on to, can you look at oil? Not a big oil guy. I don't think I'm gonna have the best insight on oil. Can't tell you nothing about this, I'll be honest. What the frick? There's not much that I can tell you on gold. I'm thinking, I don't know. I don't have an insight on oil. I'll be honest. I don't want to say anything stupid. So I'm gonna move on. I'm sorry, I cannot answer this question. Not a big oil guy. So did I miss any questions? I don't think I did. I don't think I did. Okay. So let's move on to the Bitcoin yearly outlook. My outlook, guys, has not changed at all. Main thing that I want to outline, I would move to another chart where I don't have as many drawings. That would be Binance. What would make sense for Bitcoin would be to potentially remain below $100,000. Why would that be? Well, of course, you have a couple of factors. One, $100,000 is a massive psychological level. But you have to understand that everyone that bought Bitcoin up there, which is a lot of people, let's go back to Bybit, we had 4 daily imbalances up there. 1, 2, 3, 4 daily imbalances. So euphoria was very high on this last pump. And we did talk about that short at $126,000. So everyone that bought is, of course, I mean, not of course, but logically, they're gonna be looking to get out of Bitcoin, because if anyone bought there and then bought there, and let's say even there, because everyone was pretty bullish inside of this range, if you remember. Personally, I was very bearish, if you remember. These people are going to be looking at $100,000 and above to exit Bitcoin, okay? So to reduce their losses as much as possible. So it wouldn't really make sense for us to come back above $100,000, allow these people to exit their underwater positions, and then continue lower. This retracement above, once again, above $100,000 would be a bit too deep in my opinion. Now, the invalidation for my idea, it would be above 102. So 102 would be okay, but even then, I am not really expecting that level to get reached. That's why when you go back over to Bybit, you can see that the second level that I have outlined is $99,500. We have a daily imbalance, is below $100,000. I'm not even sure if we reach it. I mean, I'm taking it level to level. But once again, my outlook for 2026 is that we will continue lower on Bitcoin. We will take out $74,000. We will jump into the 60s. Okay, so $60,000. And overall, you could be potentially looking for something like this. For example, I don't know. Doesn't matter what happens here. It's just an outlook. So down, up, and then back down. But mainly for the timing, I think that we're going to top out around the end of January. So if I take a vertical line, that would be where I'm looking for a top. So potentially that's an interesting time pivot, a Monday on the new monthly candle on February. So that would be interesting. For example, if we pump into it, and then this is where you find the high, and then you come back down for the bear market, for the continuation of the bear market. Okay. And of course, if anyone wants to make fun of me, I have been pretty bearish since the break of $119,000, which was this daily imbalance. You can go back on YouTube and Discord and see. Since the break of this level of 120,500, I have been pretty bearish. Inside of this range, I was very bearish. In this range, I was very bearish. Right there, I did take it on at $84,000, which offered very good returns. And right now, I am bullish on the medium time frames until around this pivot on the 2nd of Feb. And then after that, I will be hunting for my short positions for a potential reversal to the downside. Once again, break of 74 and a drop into the $60,000. So that would be my yearly outlook for Bitcoin. We have the time pivot. We have the levels. I think, it does extend up to $102,000. I think on Bybit that would be 102. Let me check. Okay, so 101,500. So it's okay, 102. It doesn't freaking matter. So around $102,000. And then you look for that reversal to the downside. And if all of this plays out, that's the final thing that I'm going to say before ending the live stream. If you don't have any more questions, the last thing that I'm going to say is that if this prediction is correct, in my opinion, this is the last time when you will be able to buy Bitcoin heavily, of course, below $100,000. Because if this is the bear market, we drop down there. Of course, we will find a low, because I just don't, it doesn't make sense to expect Bitcoin to be over and to go to zero, okay? So you find the low somewhere down there. And if that happens, that would be the final time where you can buy Bitcoin below $100,000. That would be my overall outlook on Bitcoin. Okay. So that would be a pretty big opportunity for anyone that doesn't own Bitcoin. Of course, then you could be looking for other assets like Ethereum, for example. Outside of these two coins, I wouldn't really advise anything else. If you want to be extra safe, just look at Bitcoin. If you want to be a bit more aggressive, we still have the Elliott wave count, by the way. This. If you want to look at something a bit more aggressive, I think Ethereum would be fairly logical. But apart from these two coins, again, not financial advice, I'm just sharing my opinion. I wouldn't look at anything else. So Bitcoin the safest, and then you have Ethereum. So something like this. Something like this. Can I give a final target for the bear market? That would be crazy. That would be crazy. I'm not gonna do that. I am not gonna do that. But I think you guys know what I'm gonna be searching for anyway. So with that said, that should be it for this live stream. I'm trying for nearly a year to make fun of you, but the predictions are just too good. Thank you, thank you. I do appreciate that. I always try to be, as you guys know, as accurate as possible with my predictions and with my levels. But I do have to say that I am very proud of this year's analysis, including the massive call at $74,000. Now, I did give this level after we saw the bounce, but then I went on YouTube. I told you that this was a massive reaction. That was the first daily imbalance that we had on the job, and it just made sense to focus on long positions. And I did give the low of the retest right there on Wednesday. You can go back on Discord and look at it. Do you guys want me to show you it? I'm not gonna do that. Don't want to waste too much time. 40 minutes, I think it's long enough for the live stream. And I don't like going on too many tangents. Or just... Do you think we will leave the August 5th wick alone? August 5th? Are you talking about this August 5th? I mean, it's so far away, it doesn't really matter what I'm gonna say, but logically, I would like to say yes. Again, it doesn't matter what I have to say, but I would like to believe that this low will be left alone, just because I'm just thinking a bit far ahead in time. But I'm guessing that if we drop towards back inside of this range, a big target that people will have will be this low, and then people who want to buy Bitcoin either on spot or low leverage, they would be looking for the break of this low and then a reclaim. And this is where a lot of people will be looking to buy Bitcoin. So again, it's really far ahead in time, so it doesn't really matter, but it's just a bit of a thought process, just to show you how I think about the market sometimes. Front running this low would make a bit more sense just because too many people might be looking for it. So dropping somewhere around, let's say 60, high 50s would make a bit more sense before seeing that reversal to the upside into a new bull market. Not too important, but interesting question. Interesting question. I'm gonna hide this. I'm gonna delete all of this on Binance. So if you guys want maybe to take a screenshot just for yourself, I just don't really care about this, but I'm gonna delete. You guys want a screenshot? Bro, what am I doing? Yeah, I'm gonna remove this. Not too important. But you guys that watch the live stream till the end, you will have this hopefully alpha, and we haven't bottomed here and for a new bull market. That's very unlikely, but I'm done yapping. I'm done yapping, guys. So with all of that said, do we have any more questions? And are you interested in buying spot around 50-60k? I'm not really too interested in buying spot Bitcoin. I'm just being honest. I think you have better opportunities, especially in the stock market. I have showed a couple of them. I'm going to show you one example that I bought on the stock. I mean, AMD was a very big one. That's a very simple example. How many did I did on AMD? That was a 4x. I mean, it was I bought it around 82. Okay, so around 82. And it went up to 265. So that's a 4. So that's a 3.5x, something like this. For Bitcoin to do 3.5x, let's say from 60, that would be around $200,000. So you can see that the returns don't make too much sense if you don't have a lot of money. If you have millions and millions, of course, then it would make sense to buy Bitcoin, just because even making 50% would be massive if you have millions. But if you have a bit of a lower capital, then I would look at other assets like the stock market. What about that? What? What about that? What is aura? Bro. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. Never stop yapping. Thank you. I always appreciate the kind words. And on this hopefully funny end of the stream and insightful levels and predictions and all of the things that we did, I will call it there. Once again, thank you everyone for tuning in. If you could leave a like on the stream, that really helps for our channel. And of course, personally, I would really appreciate it because almost everything that we do is for free. And with that said, one last time, enjoy the rest of your evening. Happy New Year, everyone. And I will see you tomorrow morning inside the Discord. So thank you, everyone. And